Welcome back, everybody. Today's video is going to be another educational Smurf lobby, but we're doing it with a bit of a twist. Something that was brought to my attention is that oftentimes you do know that there's a Smurf in your game, and also it's not like everyone's just muted in real games. So we decided to remove the anonymity of my Smurf lobbies and allow for voice comms on both teams in a very organized, try-hard manner. And the main thing I said to my teammates in this game, which the opponents also know who I am in this game, is don't expect me to captain you. Don't expect me to tell you everything to do. Play the game as close to as what you normally would, and I will communicate as closely as I normally would to people of my MMR. So for the sake of this video, we're going to be showing you guys me analyzing me playing the game, where you're going to hear my comms. I'm going to talk about why I said those things, and we're going to talk about why I made the decisions I make, so you guys can get a full in-depth look of everything I'm thinking about during this game to make it happen. Let's go ahead and get started. So, as you guys can see, there's going to be double BSJ up in this bitch. We got live BSJ right here, and we got the recorded BSJ down there. So, that's for the sake of you guys hearing what I said during the game and me being allowed to talk about it. So we're going to be playing mid Wind Ranger. My team's average MMR is 5,200. The enemy team's average MMR is 5,300. I picked Wind Ranger because I saw Viper. It ends up being Nyx mid, but I wanted to be able to lane against Viper, and Wind Ranger with Wind Run is very good against Viper in lane, and it's fine against Nyx. So with the wave on my hill to start, I would start right-clicking the Nyx as much as possible, kind of to zone him away from the creeps. I'm using Power Shot like I am now because I'm not sure if he took Spike Carapace, because the matchups against Nyx in lane's a little bit weird because I have a high damage telegraphed nuke. And notice by pushing the wave like I did, noticing he didn't use Spike Carapace last time I Power Shotted, getting as much harass in as possible now because I don't want to Power Shot once he's level 2, making sure I dodge that stun, kind of predictable. Always going to act like he's TA, where his stun's in a straight line, so I'm trying to dodge it anytime one of my creeps is low. Get that creep dead while I think he's not going to be able to Spike Carapace. So I'm kind of recognizing I'm not going to be able to full charge my Power Shot without him purposely tanking it. So I have to be very wary of that. I have less damage effectively on my nuke, purposely keeping the wave on my hill right now to give myself that advantage. This little creep aggro trick here is really important to do so because he was blocking. Now it's on my hill again. Back to right clicking we go. So I tried to not fully charge that so he wouldn't be able to react. End up missing the creep for it. Sag. But notice how this fact that he's getting bullied by my right click so much is actually making it so he can't contest me for every creep. So in these situations where he's a melee hero with slightly higher damage than me, it pays off to just make it so instead of going for last hits and denies most of the time, I'm actually just hitting him, right?
My bad.
Hit. Charge that up because he was far off to the right, so I knew he wouldn't be able to. So right here, if you look at it based on these two creeps hitting this melee creep right now, he's going to get the last hit in 2 hits of the tower. But by pulling the melee creeps off, it actually messes with it, where now he has to use his stun to finish it off. And these are little creep aggro mechanics that you can use to just win the mid. You know, he's forced to cast a spell that he otherwise would not have had to cast.
Yeah, we can.
Always backpacking my branches in order to utilize my bottle. So he's going to the rune now. I'm threatening to go to the rune, so he's going to have to run over there. So while he's gone, I'm going to get as many denies as I possibly can. He used stun on me, so I'm going to get the deny on the range creep right now.
Yeah, care.
Once again, trying to make it so he doesn't reflect, and I'm actually missing the creeps for it. This is a matchup I've only played once before, so I'm still getting used to it, but I did remember he's going to purposely tank my Power Shot. So in this case, I'm aiming it off to the side intentionally and then trying to right click him. Trying to move my creeps together here. So notice how much I'm right-clicking him, and since he's not a ranged hero and he's not right-clicking me back, that's why I go for the Glove of Haste, because I just want to right-click him more. You know what I mean? So a lot of times, you can look for Wraith Bands or Null or Bracers. I tried that last time, but I saw Weehawk go for Glove of Haste a lot on mid Wind Ranger. So that's what I've elected to go here as well. Helps your CS better, helps you just overall click him more. And it feels like we've been in relatively controlling command of this lane so far. Just messing with every CS now that's underneath his tower. Even if I can't get the deny, just making him miss the last hit's really useful. Like this here. He had to use his stun to get it. And since I know he has no stun, I'm going to mess with the CS. I always have to be a bit careful because of this Nature's Prophet. Whenever I'm being super aggressive, I don't want to cast Power Shot because that's my plan to get out of the Sprout. Is to just Power Shot my way out of the trees. So in this case, I'm going to go for a full wand because of Nyx, the mana burn from him, but also trying to be as prepared as possible for the burst. So instead of maxing out Power Shot like I would like to for farm, I'm just going to take 3 points in win run because of the fact that I don't want to use Power Shot on him anyways. Notice how much I'm clicking. Just click, 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 click. Always playing it like I said he's a TA, right? Like I'm just making sure I'm not lined up with the creeps so that he doesn't impale me.
It's Viper. It is what it is.
And just clicking him nonstop. Unfortunately, the Tiny did rotate behind me. I wasn't ready for it. I probably could have been much more aware of this. But nice play by the opponent to 3-man gank me. It's not too surprising when you're playing this aggressively mid and you get 3-man ganked. Like, I definitely should have recognized that Tiny was missing. And if anything, I should have been playing the top left of the lane rather than the bottom right so that I don't get easily wrapped on by Tiny. That's me really trying to push my limits as a mid lane player, and since these type of little CS maneuvers and tower aggro maneuvers are new to me, because I don't play a ton of mid since I learned them, I'm too focused on doing them, so I fail to do that. But it's really good to push your limits and then be like, oh yes, when I'm being really aggressive under tower, maybe I should play away from the enemy support that roams, in this case the 4, you know? So I communicated that Nyx is missing, and since I don't want to counter rotate him, since I just TP'd, I'm going to push the lane as fast as possible. Unfortunately, like, even though there's the rune coming, I thought Nyx was going for a kill because he was level 6 and suddenly he was missing. So that's why, like, I was prioritizing pushing the wave and then I was going to go get the rune later.
With a rune.
So since he's missing, like I said, if the enemy mid like this is missing, you're either planning to rotate it or counter rotate it or immediately push the tower to make him come back or punish him for being gone. But since he used Vendetta on Marcy, he didn't get a kill and he's not going to roam. So we're going to use Focus Fire on the tower because we don't have Javelin or anything yet. Notice how we're being a bit more passive this time because Tiny's missing. Nature's Prophet can TP on us. So this is more of a, like, bluff than anything. And we have nothing better to do with our Power Shot until we get Javelin regardless. So that's a good use of our first Focus Fire, considering the fact that there's not much better to do. So, we don't have Focus Fire, and we're farming up our Javelin so that Focus Fire can be useful. So, we're going to go hit up the neutral camps. It's also 7 minutes, so a little bit more of an enticing bonus there in regards to potential neutral item. Agi treads while we're hitting as a universal hero, because we don't jeopardize damage, but we also just get attack speed. Always making sure we come back to the wave as soon as possible. Especially in a matchup where we're not, like, losing or anything. We gave ourselves a sentry for their wards. I even bought 2 sentries in case they dewarded my sentry because I'm against an invisible hero. I might not always buy 2 sentries like this, but I bought it because I'm against Nyx.
Nyx is probably going top.
But once again, I think Nyx is leaving, so I'm going to push the wave immediately. He did go top. Sometimes your teammates die, despite the calls. It is what it is. Trying to make sure I get the rune. I go to the side that Nyx was on first because he just used his mana and health to gank. So I want to confront him. He doesn't have spells. So I purposely went to the rune that he had. But if he hadn't hit out of Vendetta yet, for instance, I would have gone bottom rune and just played the 50-50.
It's Care Viper Strike.
I can look to TP bottom.
So, we're pushing out the wave again so that we can rotate. No intention of hitting the tower. We see the DD and the Viper playing. So, we're going to find out they have a ward pretty much immediately here because he runs as soon as I TP. It's sad that shackle didn't latch, but the gank ends up working because we have the DD rune.
Nice.
Now that I think about it, I should have sentryed this high ground immediately because I have this sentry, but I was thinking about going back mid. So I decided to jungle this camp because I have a DD with the aim to go back mid. I even looked mid to see where it was at. I specifically took the camp because I wanted to wait for the bounty rune and I wanted a potential neutral.
I'm forcing rotation.
It's a somewhat debatable line because now I'm missing a couple creeps mid. But to be honest, since the bounty rune was there and I wanted to fill my bottle and I had a DD, it kind of made sense to what I did there. Just a little nuanced, like, efficiency plays. Nyx again missing. Notice how we're just immediately pushing the wave. This is super important when you're playing against roaming mids. You need to have some sort of punish, especially if your hero doesn't roam as much as theirs. Like, Wind Ranger can gank, you saw, but she does it kind of like fast and like she's done and then she goes back to mid predominantly, right? We're going to pressure this tower as much as possible. It's really good that we can get this tower damage in. Chipping, chipping, chipping. We have full HP, so we're willing to tank a couple tower shots.
Your top tower is under attack. You know, some people take
Get our bottle refilled, which is really nice.
BSJ, does Void get mom still? Or is it just Maelstrom into Mjolnir? I think just straight
I
Maelstrom.
specifically instructed them not to ask me questions. Live BSJ, why are you fucking... Or recorded BSJ, why are you doing this? A nice play from my supports to both come mid. Really nice ice path from my Jakiro. Pretty standard rune fights. This time around, we were all ready for what they did. The Nyx didn't have ulti, so his hero's relatively useless in comparison. I've learned when I play heroes like Nyx, where I'm like an old-faced cooldown ganker, that it's not really good to play around me mid, because I don't do much for you if I don't have my ult. I'd rather Nyx just like fend for himself with the rune and then look to gank side lanes when he gets it.
Nyx respawning with ult.
I'm always communicating the Nyx's status because everyone else is focused doing other things, and I know exactly what Nyx is doing, right? Like in terms of his timing, that's the guy I'm worried about. Really important that you give your team updates. Sometimes they're not going to use them, right? But this time around they did, which was great. Maybe we'll finally get a neutral item here. Gonna finish our Maelstrom, which is fantastic. Gonna accelerate our farm, give us some more kill potential. Since we're relatively low on resources and we're finishing a big item, that's why we're not really looking to gank right now, and we're just playing for efficiency. So I'm looking to like scoop up the wave mid. Tiny's not really pushing it though, so I'm like, what do I do here?
I'm tipping bottom.
I'm actually really not sure what to do here because I'm waiting for my item, and I want to be around mid because the rune's coming out.
I'm coming towards
My team's making a play bottom, and I see my DP has ulti, so I'm like, oh, I'll just go to my DP.
I don't think,
Push top.
Make her play strong.
They don't have Nyx ult.
What I didn't notice when I did this is that the tower is really low HP.
Oh, I stopped the
It's
Nyx,
the safe lane tier 1, so I would have definitely gone for like not doing this play in hindsight.
This guy's here.
But Troll's trying to get that greedy deny, and I see that there's a big fight going on bottom, so I'm not scared at all to chase this guy. I end up sneaking a peek of him, going into the Roche pit, making sure he doesn't TP by scouting him with the power shot, and we're gonna find him. So these are just moves that work out really well because of the fact that we see a fight going on bottom. We can aggressively dive.
Remember, if you jump in front of me,
I should be doing something regardless there, meaning like mid lane there wasn't anything to do and my team was strong on both side lanes. The choice between going top or bottom is really up to the personal player's call, but I gave my reasoning for why I did mine, and it's hard to know during the game exactly how it's going to play out. And it didn't work. It didn't play out too poorly, right? Pretty happy with the fact that we got a carry kill using our focus fire so we can go back to farming. I'm going to go ahead and pop regen runes so that I can farm during the 30 seconds that my ultimate's on cooldown. And then be full HP, full mana by the time that a fight happens again.
Someone did pick mid.
So notice how, like, there's really nothing to do top right now. So we see that the opponent's all missing. So that means we kind of want to bring a lot of our resources to the same area, ready to fight them, abandoning the lane that we don't have to play in because the other two lanes are being pushed into us. So this is an example where when you feel the map, nobody on the enemy team showing, 2 lanes out of 3 are pushed into you, that's when you consolidate your resources on one half of the map and just kind of embrace yourself for impact, right? Or brace yourself, not embrace yourself. And so it's not a surprise that they're going on my Void here for all the reasons we just mentioned. This is called reading the map, map awareness overall. I wanted to shackle the Tiny, but he fogged me, so I went for the Nature's Prophet instead. Tiny decided to reveal himself, so we decided to fight them again. Little known fact, you can stick when you land from toss. Can't believe we didn't get the 2-man shackle there, but the Marcy lifesteal keeps us alive for a while. I think if I win ran and then pig pulled, I would have lived potentially.
On the side, guys.
Go up.
But despite the fact that we have no chrono and we have no DP ulti, we still get a 3-for-1. Basically because we played the map better than they did. And we were ready for their move because we read it, right?
Okay,
Yeah, just defend the towers.
So in this case, never try to make follow-up plays to that because we just brought a bunch of heroes bottom and we don't have our ults. So my team was like, can we go on this guy top? Can we go on this guy top? And it's like, no. Just reset, collect yourselves. Don't spread yourselves too thin and reset the map a little bit after plays like that last one. We're going to look for Nature's Prophet really quickly, but the scan went away. So we're like, okay, he's not there. Let's go back to farming. I took the pig pull as a neutral because I'm a universal hero. I debated between the safety bubble, but I'm like, I'm going to probably be about full HP all the time anyways, and they're both about 100 HP. So because they have a hero like Nyx, I'm going to naturally try to group with my team instead of farming neutral camps. But notice how I'm like, maybe in a game where they don't have Nyx, I'd play up here. But in this case, I'm just going to go back towards my team. In this case, the Void did not do that, and he died. Generally, the buddy system is really important against Nyx specifically. He's a really obnoxious hero to play against, but it is what it is. So I don't have TP for bottom, and I'm going to communicate that to my team. And because there's a fight going on bottom, I'm going to make sure I push out mid instead of finishing these Ancients.
That's fine.
One could argue that I'm supposed to look at that fight, but I'm also like mechanically invested in these Ancients. I have to make sure I'm casting my spells and kiting them properly. So I go for Linken's because it actually prevents you from getting solo killed by Nyx. Because it either blocks the Dagon or blocks his W. So it's also a stat item for a universal hero. But it allows me to farm by myself where I'm not afraid of single Nyx, right? And that's a big deal when there's a hero that's entire purpose is to solo kill you. So notice how I'm not even walking up for the creep wave because they're missing. I just want to power shot it real quick. There's a chance they could snipe me there. But I'm willing to take that risk that they have a ward or something.
That's the real one, by the way.
So my team's geared up to fight bottom. I really want to finish my ultimate orb first. That's why I'm so hesitant to TP. I really want to finish it. I'm going to look at the fight and see that Nyx got Ice Path, so I'm going to TP. I really didn't want to TP here because I'm so close to my big item, but I end up TPing. So it ends up being a not so bad fight where we get the Chronosphere on the Viper. Troll's been pretty much taken out of the game, so we're playing 5v4 because our carry is able to participate and theirs is not. The Arcane Rune also has like huge value here. Sadly, we're going to feed our courier because we were so busy fighting we forgot to pay attention to it, like a noob. But with the pig pull plus win run, we are going to manage to escape. So this is a really awkward moment in the game because I'm half mana, or like half health, like 40% mana. I don't have TP. My courier's dead. So like my only real option is to like walk all the way back to base or farm my way back to base. Nyx is missing, but I'm like, okay, Nyx is going to try to snipe one of us. I'm going to run towards base, and then I get caught. You know, spoilers. I end up buying out at least. But to be honest, like, that's not a good death. Like, it sucks to die to Nyx there, but my next, like, minute was AFK anyways. I was going to farm my way all the way back to base. So I didn't, like, make my team weaker by doing that, because I wasn't involved in this game anyways for the next 60 seconds. So that's something to think about. With all the moves you're making, am I trying to participate in fights? Am I trying to farm? Like, do I have the resources to be impactful right now? And that's why I mentioned that whole thing, farming backwards, running away from that fight when I fed my courier, because sometimes unfortunate things like that just happen, you know? I was communicating to my Void that he can farm mid rather than me. So there's a really awkward thing happening here where my DP TP'd bottom. She has ultimate, but she's just sitting here. And so I told my Void to go mid, see how we're in a similar spot where like top lane's like the dead lane, like nobody on our team can really get there. We're all afraid of Nyx, so we don't want to go there alone. So I naturally go to my team in the same reason, and I asked them to smoke because we're stuck underneath our tower, and we also have a ward, so if we run into them here, it's favorable. So this smoke is like a get the fuck out of here, potentially find something kind of smoke.
Would be nice if you can change it.
So it allows us to potentially connect to mid, to defend bottom tower with the smoke. There's a lot of possible benefits of this smoke, and most notably, it's the fact that our really strong Death Prophet is stuck bottom. So we end up missing the Shackle like a noob, but we end up catching the Tiny regardless. DP is going to get in there and manage to not get bursted, which was really impressive, barely surviving. So this fight's going to work out for us. And the biggest thing about all of this is that we had heroes that were capable of fighting, and they were just sitting underneath our tier 1 in a really useless, like, weak spot of the map. And that's the type of communication that you can have as like a playmaker when you don't feel safe to farm, is to get your powerful heroes doing something. So that was a nice, like, it worked out really nicely for us there. These are the type of plays that 5k players, 6k players make really poorly, is that they put themselves in bad parts of the map and then just kind of let themselves stay there. So getting them to get out of there is actually a really important part of communication in pubs, if you can. Obviously, if the guy's not listening to you, it's fine. So Nyx is dead, which allows us to finish our Lincolns very aggressively, which we're super happy about. Like we said, we're not going to be able to die to Nyx anymore.
No.
I tell him I don't want to smoke. So he asked me if I want to smoke, and I told him no. So the reason I don't want to smoke is because my Void with Chrono is underneath bottom tier 1, and so is my Death Prophet. Both of them feel pretty safe because we have a bunch of wards there. Nyx is going to be respawning. We don't know where he's going. So if we smoke right now, we're kind of just guessing and we're hoping. But when we're guessing / hoping, we'd much rather go push a lane and force them to show us something, such that we can smoke in some advantageous way. But right now, if you look at the map, we actually know nothing about where any of them are other than Troll, and we also have no idea where they're going to go. They could go bottom, they could go mid. Like, there's no objective for them to play around right now. So I really didn't like the smoke, and I also want to keep in mind that another reason I didn't want to smoke is because we had been using smokes before, and we also have a lineup that's really good at forcing objectives with Faceless Void, Chronosphere, and Death Prophet, so like really long cooldown ultimates. So saving smokes in those type of games is really important, and you're going to see the negative impact of this later.
I said no.
Let's do
I
this.
farm.
So despite the fact that my teammates smoked me, I don't want to do this, so I'm like, see ya, and I'm just going to go farm. Like, it's really important that you just say, like, no, I don't want to do that. I know why I didn't want to do it, so I just didn't.
Keep going bot, guys. Back for TP bot again.
So I should have maybe flown myself a TP with the courier. I should have. I'm a noob. But we're going to push out this lane and go back for mid-rune, because it's 1950.
I don't have TP on me, guys.
Your bottom tower
We can look to go Roche if they leave bottom ever.
I actually didn't go back for rune. I think I should have. I should have gone back mid there. Kind of a noob, actually. But I ended up going back late, which cost my Marcy her death. But it's going to work out because Nyx used all this stuff to kill her. And there's times where you're strong enough to make shit happen, and there's times where you're strong enough to fight them when they make shit happen. And that was kind of an example where, like, since we had Void Chrono but not Death Prophet ulti, we have counterplay potential, but we don't have objective forcing potential. So these are the things you have to think about when you're thinking of, like, the macro scope of the game, where, like, oh, they made a play, like, we're ready to fight it, but we aren't making something happen ourselves. You know, if we had neither Chronosphere or Death Prophet ultimate and say Focus Fire was on cooldown or I'm about to finish a big item, then if Nyx picks off my Marcy there, then you just, like, let him have it, you know? So in this game, I'm taking stats over Shackle, and that's because I'm against a lot of burst damage. I'm a universal hero, and I just think it's more important than the stun duration of the Shackle. You could also argue that I'm just not very good at using Shackle, so, you know, what is the real value of Shackle? Don't tell him that I said that, okay? So we go for a Dragonlance because we also have the Grove Bow. I think if I didn't get Grove Bow, I would have gone BKB here because I can't really play the outskirts of the fight very well. That extra 100 range is going to plays a big difference in whether or not I can keep my distance from them and kite them effectively when they have heroes like Troll Warlord and Nyx. So
They were doing tormentors.
since I got the Grove Bow, I'm actually doubling down on my ability to play the outside of the fight, and I go for a Dragonlance. Debatably, could still go
You're ready to fight
BKB,
down here, guys.
but that's why I went Dragonlance here. So this is the moment in the game where my team is supposed to have a smoke, where we don't have one because we used one unnecessarily. But since we have Death Prophet ulti, we have Chronosphere, Nyx is missing. They have a lot of split push. Like, their lineup has pick off between Nyx, Nature's Prophet, and Tiny, while our team has a bunch of team fight. So when the enemy is missing, play according to your strengths. So in this case, we just group up.
My purpose.
Very simply put. If you're the other team, you might try to like nuke waves from afar and force reactions because they're the split pushing team.
We can hit it
right?
with DP ult. We don't have smoke, so just take the rush.
So because we use Martial, because we use DP ult, because we use Focus Fire, I don't want to fight here.
Don't fight. We don't have Exo. If they show, actually, if it's opportune,
Unless Viper's here, yeah. We can go on Viper if we see him again.
So I power shot to scout if Viper's
We don't have to
there.
force anything,
We don't
guys.
see
just get out of
him.
here.
We're chilling. I think Death Prophet's actually poorly positioned there. I was scared as fuck. I was like, oh.
Come on.
They smoke mid.
Exo's out, be a bit cautious.
They have a arcane room.
Next with
We're dodging them now, guys. We're dodging them now. If they dive us, maybe, but that's it.
Notice how I'm always trying to communicate the state of the game in my eyes. Like, are we trying to fight them? Are we trying to force something? When are we going to do that? So in this case, I'm like, we're dodging them, guys.
Unless he like has
That
a
tells your
hunter
team that you're
courier.
trying to farm, and it just basically prevents them from making plays ahead of time that go against what you're wanting to do in the game. And that's a really good habit to get into. Sometimes people still do it anyways, but the most impact you can have on that is just making sure you communicate your status. That's all you
Guys,
can
Nyx,
do.
anybody?
I meant to like push the wave out.
So the portion of the game that gets a little weird here is because we have Aegis, so we want to be able to be making aggressive plays on the map, but they have a Nyx. So when they have a Nyx, we need to be playing buddy system so that we can punish him. But consistently, like, Void's by himself, Jakiro's by himself. So Nyx is going to get a lot of annoying pickoffs that's going to slow our ability to group up. And now we're going to fight them, missing a hero. I wasted Focus Fire because Nyx got away. Void Chrono to solo Viper and manages to die. So things are getting a little crazy. And this is something you're probably not too unfamiliar with in your pubs. Just keep it cool, you know? Don't worry about it too much. Just go back to farming. You got 3 minutes on the Aegis. Don't get mad at people. Don't panic. I'm going to go back to mid because the rune's spawning. You know, just do normal things. Just wave pushing,
Somebody's
rune,
push out bot on respawn.
farming, that kind of stuff. I'm going for my next big item, so I've almost got it.
Oh, what the fuck
My
is
Marcy
this, man?
died now to the Nyx, so like that's gonna slow our group up by another 40 seconds.
We need to be under sentries 24/7.
So my team's trying to communicate this kind of stuff, and now I'm gonna chime in.
It's fine, just I think if you're at least two, then people...
Yeah, you just need to be us two. You guys are running around by yourself.
So Jakiro had a good call there. I agree with him entirely. We're just gonna be pushing out mid, waiting for our team to be ready to group again. We're not forcing anything. Notice how we're all playing on our side of the map until our team is all alive. We've almost got our item. Once again, I barely have gold to get this item, so I don't fly myself a TP. This feels like a common occurrence in this game.
I have Aegis for 2 minutes. I have glide move.
Communicating my Aegis and timing, that's really important. Saying, hey guys, we got
group
2
up,
minutes.
guys, regroup.
Nyx did jump our
Void, be
Jakiro.
careful.
Really don't want my Void to die to Nyx right now. Since
come
I
to
have
me,
Aegis
guys.
and a regen rune, I'm pushing the mid lane because that's probably the most dangerous area whenever they're missing like this. Attack speed slow's messing with me a little bit. So my team's going to smoke behind me. I don't actually like the fact that I end up running in here. We do see Tiny bottom. But I shouldn't run in like this because if they do have a ward, I'm kind of revealing like my team's trying to be aggressive. So I don't like my play here. So the map's a bit awkward because top lane's pushing towards us, bottom lane's pushing towards us.
If you
We're all
guys-
missing.
We have pretty much all our spells. We can look for a kill.
We're just looking. I lag a little bit during the game. That's not your YouTube video.
I'm just hitting the tower.
Get the Gleipnir off. Viper's a little bit of lapse in his map awareness.
They might TP, they might not. We'll
Yeah,
see.
fight them, guys. We can't fight us.
I'm communicating to fight them if they
Force
come.
them
Like,
back to tier 3.
we can force them back. We're already here as 5. We've got Jakiro. We've got Death Prophet.
20 seconds.
We've got fortification to defend our bottom tower. Troll Warlord's not hitting the bottom tower, so they're not making any meaningful pressure. All of these reasons are why we're just supposed to keep going, and then when Viper's respawning, we can look to back. That's kind of how you think about these scenarios when you get a kill. Punish his window of death.
No, I'm finishing it with focus.
Do I catch the next?
So my guys want to back, but I'm like, he's dead for 11 seconds, so I want to kill this tower. And then we can get out.
Yeah,
Notice how my Death Prophet has no business being here. He can just leave because he's not hitting the tower. But he ends up running back in on Death Prophet.
you can retreat now. I don't need you running back in.
Yep, my bad. Sorry.
And then we end up fighting. Right? We don't want to do any of this. This is all like against my plan. I just wanted the tower and back based on their timers. You know?
That's my fault. My fault. My fault.
I should have let myself die with Aegis here. I didn't notice it was 1 second, so I ended up dying.
Back in. My fault.
Kiro, can you help me at all? No? Oh, I have no Aegis. Holy shit, I died.
I didn't even realize I was on ticking on the Aegis.
Yes, it was.
So that's the kind of stuff where I'm telling you guys right now during this Smurf game everything that I'm thinking about so that you guys can know maybe one of those factors you didn't consider before, like playing until Viper's respawning. Like about 5 seconds on his respawn is when we want to start retreating so we can escort ourselves out of there. So that's the kind of stuff where you need to be reminding yourself during the game, these are the important things to be thinking about, because otherwise you do what Death Prophet did there and go in and hit the tower when you don't have Exo and you're not the one actually hitting the tower. You get yourself caught. You force your team to help you. Theoretically, we could have left him, but we also could have helped him get out if he just walked away. So these are things where I'm not intentionally just trying to shit all over this Death Prophet. It's more so just like, these are all the things I'm thinking about, and these are the differences, palpable differences between like a 5K and a 9K, right?
Again, my fault. I should not have walked back in. That's my bad.
So I appreciate that this guy's saying it's his fault, and it should end there. It's okay. It's good, actually, in pubs to just say, I'm sorry. It's my fault. Like, my bad. I went back in. That's good communication, because it kind of like, everyone's thinking it, you know? And it kind of just, like, diffuses the situation normally.
I mean, honestly, it would have been better if we didn't die, but we did get their tower. It could be far worse.
Okay, so one thing about this Death Prophet is he's been kind of doing this all game, and that is like these reflections on something that's already happened, okay? And I'll just tell you guys that in a team composition, like in competitive Dota, this is like one of the first things that I ever learned to not do, because it is so distracting. It removes you from the present, basically like, what are we doing next? And honestly, it's just kind of annoying. With all due respect to the Death Prophet, I really hope this can serve as a lesson to all of you guys to just shut the fuck up about what's already happened in the game. If you say something like, hey, next time, like, wait to use Chronosphere until they go on me. You know, like something like, let's play next fight differently based on what happened in that previous fight. That's a different story. But when you're just straight up saying, that wasn't all that bad, it could have been worse, like, you know, at least we got 2 buybacks. Like, stuff like this is like borderline. Maybe 1 sentence max. But, you know, I'm just telling him basically, shut the fuck up. But I just had no need to talk about this, right? I want people to focus on what we're doing next.
You're right.
That's why I said that.
Yeah.
I didn't use my voice because I knew I'd
Shield
kind of
rune on
sound
next, guys.
passive aggressive, so that's why I typed it. I probably sounded passive aggressive anyway. Actually, that was pretty direct. So I'm going to go for BKB now. Just let me navigate fights pretty freely, because they're hitting me with Spike
Probably going
Carapace
bottom,
and
boys.
Avalanche and all that kind of stuff. So the Dragonlance Gleipnir allowed me to kite for a little while, which was nice. But
need to
now
be
that
together
the
as
game's
two at
getting
all
later,
times,
just
so
make
you
it
can't
easier on myself. I do ample amount of damage.
Faster than
It's fine, like, to just make the game easier to
If you guys are
play.
together, then at least we turn the kill.
Telling my team to play together again because we're against Nyx. So looking at these neutrals, we're going to pause for a second. This is something that I've seen a lot more players do, especially when you are ranged hero with a really powerful tier 2 neutral item like Grove Bow or Specialist Array, where it's also like Safety Bubble is stronger than a lot of the tier 2 items. So I look at these items and I think, I'm not really replacing Grove Bow. Which one of these items would I ever put in my inventory temporarily? So I thought about it, I'm like, if I'm ever half HP after a fight, I would put Paladin Sword in my inventory. So that's what I'm going to do. I take the Paladin Sword as like a, you know, Morbid Mask to put in my inventory whenever I need to sustain myself on the map. So I started putting like safety bubbles in my backpack. You know, jelly in my backpack, shovels in my backpack, paladin swords in my backpack, you know,
Keep being
vampire
together, we're
fangs in my
strong.
backpack, stuff like this, you know?
Try to de-ward around me.
Not yet.
Communicating to my team to play around each other, saying, can we please de-ward around me if possible? These are all little nice things to say. We see somebody coming, so we're ready to fight them. Notice how we're just always ready to fight them when we have abilities. So even if we're not forcing an objective, because I don't quite have my BKB yet, we are ready to fight them, which is really important when they have a ton of split push like this, because that's all their heroes do. If you think about heroes like Nyx, if you overly group up against Nyx, he's not going to punish you, because if you overly group up against like Lina, for instance, like Lina has pick off, a lot of burst damage, but she could also just be clearing 50 creeps a minute, right? She could just be killing every neutral camp on the map. So if you overly group up against Lina, for instance, there's a lot of punish there. But overly grouping up against like Tiny, Nyx, these heroes that not only kill you really well, but don't farm very fast, is really useful when you can't think of a place on the map that's safe. Like, that's kind of how I look at it. I don't have BKB, so I don't want to be anywhere by myself. So this readiness to punish is super important.
They have no four. Actually, they do have glyph. Yeah, they do have glyph.
So in this exact case, they're dead for 50 seconds. And I think this is an important time to pause, because there was a not a disagreement, but a different view on how to approach this from me and the Death Prophet. So I'm going to talk about all the relevant things to me so that you guys can think like, this is what BSJ's priority is in this type of situation. So in my head, I know they have fortification. I'm kind of thinking, how much can we get done reliably by the time that they're alive again? So also have to factor in the potential buybacks. So what I'm thinking is, we're missing Jakiro. Marcy went and got a wisdom rune, so he's not even here right now. Faceless Void does not have chrono. If I don't use focus fire on this tier 2, we're not killing it very fast. So now I don't have focus fire until Tiny's alive already. So to me, and there's also a rune that spawned, like a power rune, and there's also a wave mid to be pushed. So I'm saying that there's all of these reasons that it doesn't feel great to push, which is like Marcy there, no chronosphere, no focus fire, Jakiro's dead, and I named like 3 or 4 things worth doing on the map. So I just want to farm. I just want to be efficient. I want to be ready to fight them again when they're alive, because we still have Death Prophet Ultimate, and I will have Focus Fire by the time they're alive. So what I'm thinking is, we can't get any meaningful damage done to their base in this time, but we can be ready to fight them again when they're alive. That's what I'm thinking, because we can just like get the mid rune, push out the wave, I finish my BKB, I get my Focus Fire back, and they can't leave base after that. So this is a portion of the game where I think a lot of people overly go high ground. You can just do what we're about to do, and it's just as impactful, if not more impactful, with 0 risk. Okay, let's go ahead and play it out.
Just farm the map after this.
Alexa when they fort.
Farm the map.
The enemy's bottom tower is
Can you take
Yep,
that?
get out.
So I can be-
Be ready to fight them again though, because we're pretty strong.
So notice my communication, be ready to fight them again. We're pretty strong. If like one of my teammates just didn't show up, I'd probably just like play a bit more passively here. Notice how we're aggressively pushing the waves while they're still dead. We're grouped up again with
Don't
2
let
of the
them leave
waves
their
pushed in, setting up outside of their base, ready to fight them if they come out. I told Jakiro not to do what he's doing here, because if he shows in tower vision, which he's going to show right now, this literally tells them we're there. Like, if a 5 position
Look mid, guys,
Jakiro
look
wouldn't
mid.
be in front of your tier 3 if his team wasn't all there, right?
on it.
So we're going to rewind for a second.
Look mid, guys. Look mid.
So this look mid thing is really important, because we just showed Jakiro bottom. Void just pushed out bottom wave like in vision. So generally people will feel pretty safe to TP or to just hit this creep wave in general. And this is the wave where we would want to fight them, because they're not as ready for it. And I also have an invis rune. So these are really opportunistic plays that you can look for. Getting the nice shackle, utilizing the creep. Soul's gonna get his ulti off. Not a bad trade for us, though. And these are the type of like game securing plays where our Void hasn't even shown up yet. Honestly, he should have connected already. I actually get really annoyed with him here. And the reason I get really annoyed with Void is because he doesn't have Chronosphere, but he has BKB, and he's a melee hero with Time Walk, so I need him to play in front of me in the fight. He's got BKB still. So this is an example that I got really annoyed with my carry, and I want to talk about it right now because I feel like a lot of carry players do this, which is I don't have my powerful skill, so I play weak. Well, your weakness means that you can't stun them, but you have BKB and Time Walk, so you're still very survivable. So what that means is you can body for the people on your team that are still high damage, which in my case, I don't have BKB, but I have Focus Fire coming up, so I can do a lot in the fight for damage, but he can't, right? Because he doesn't have Chronosphere.
Careful the toss. Careful.
Notice
toss,
how he's
careful
playing
toss.
behind me consistently. They're going to go on the DP, and Void's going to cautiously Time Walk. Why? Sorry.
Oh, weird.
He still has BKB.
Be a man on Void. BKB, you have literally everything. Please be a man.
So I want him to stop them from blinking on me here. That's what I want him to do. Like, he can stop them from blinking on me, right? But he's not going to.
Be a man!
I'm asking him to be a man, like, so I don't want this Tiny to just murder me. Fortunately, I end up getting away, but this Void actually pissed me off a lot. He might just not know Void's limits very well, but I want to take this time to say, like, think about your utility as a hero on any role in any hero, where sometimes you can just serve as a meat shield, as a distraction for people on your team that have high damage output. So this is exactly why we kept the Paladin Sword in our inventory and took it as a neutral.
I want to fucking kill them, bro.
Yep, I want to kill them. So I put my Paladin Sword in, kiting the fight because I have the extra range on both my items. We got ourselves Loda playing carry for us.
RTZ.
This guy says RTZ. I guess I'm
No,
more of a
we're not
throwback.
smoking. No. You're smoking if you want to smoke. That's.
My Jakiro then pings smoke. What are people smoking, people? What is wrong with you guys? How do you see that with Death Prophet dead and your Wind Ranger at a 3rd HP and you're like, let's go. So I said, you know, funny me was like, you're smoking if you want to smoke.
Nick says DD, guys. Be
So this
Chill
case,
chill out, reset. Guys.
okay, so here's really important. I think my team's being panicked. My Void just missed a chrono, probably because I yelled at him. He's probably getting yelled at by BSJ, and he's like, my YouTuber yelled at me. I'm nervous. Understandable, dude. Sorry about that. And then my Jakiro's like, let's smoke, let's smoke.
we're not.
So I am detecting a ton of panic, a ton of not mindfulness, not present in the moment. So we need to rally the troops and just like collect
Smoking.
ourselves.
No. You're smoking if you want to smoke. That's.
So here is my
Nick says
comms.
DD, guys. Be a bit careful.
Chill out. Reset, guys. Mental reset, please.
I think that like chill out mental reset thing is like really important, by the way, because that just kind of makes people shut up at that moment. I wouldn't say that if it's one guy. I wouldn't say chill out because that's like directed at him and it's like very attacking him. But if it's the entire team, I like to do the whole like chill out, guys. It's fine. So we push out the wave, play together.
I'll get a free chrono, right?
Yes. We're gonna take a Tormentor because we're all here. And the Paladin Sword plus Marcy Sidekick paying huge dividends here. Now we can put the Grobo back in our inventory. I generally think that level 10 talent's pretty shit, so I just don't take it. So I'm noticing that I'm having this whole like getting hit by Nyx or tossed by Tiny and like losing half of my HP. So I go for Satanic just so that I can reset the fight. It's also good against the Nature's Prophet ulti that roots me and I don't want a BKB just to remove that. So I'm telling my team I'm going to finish my Satanic, chill out a little bit,
They cannot kill me anymore.
checking my team's cooldowns right
I want to
there.
finish my Satanic.
Wanna wait for
We can look for kills.
So I
right
told
now.
my team to wait for my Satanic because I checked our cooldowns, like Void Chronos in a minute.
Okay, be careful bottom. I'm gonna meet you guys after this wave top.
So I want to clear one more
die
wave and then
next,
go to my
like, 15
team.
seconds.
I want to play for
TP
Roche,
bottom on
so
this
like
thing.
I want my TP to be bottom tier 2 and go to Roche. That's what I'm thinking here. My team ends up smoking from tier 2 before I get there, and I see them
smoke
heading
from
towards
bottom tier
mid. So this is like the big difference, I think. I want to play for Roche because that's like usually the only objective in the game that matters at this stage of the game other than going high ground. It's 34 minutes, which both teams can kill Roche pretty fast. So we don't want to give the enemy that small window to take Roche. So I think them smoking from bottom towards us really shows their lack of awareness of like what the present objective in the game is and what to do about it. So these little nuances in the game matter a lot. And I'm just telling you that as a 5k, 6k player, these are the type of things that you need to work on. I mean, it helps everybody below 5k, but that's why I like having comms in these Smurf games, because I can say, no, I hate this. Stop doing this and go back bottom.
Go back to Roche, guys. Go back to Roche.
They're probably rushing.
Yeah.
Particularly clever strategy at work here. On my way.
Yeah, none of them are showing. They're probably in pit.
We can still fight after. Bad target, bad target.
So I don't want to go on Troll, but I'm going to wait and see what he does. Notice how I'm kind of like stalking him, but I'm not committing the smoke. Notice how I'm keeping the distance.
After your middle tower.
Oh, there's a Viper. That's a good target. That's a pretty YOLO chrono by my Void, to be honest. I don't like that chrono at all in hindsight. I think we could just be more patient. I love how the shackle works against BKB. It's stupid. And we end up getting a really nice fight off that one with minimal casualties.
Roche right now, boys. Let's get there as soon as
So we end up taking bottom racks and mid racks very fast while they're all dead. And so we're still caring about Roche. So by the time they're respawned, notice how we took all their buildings. We are now saying push top lane and go Roche. Because it's now nighttime, right? So during the time they were dead, we got all their buildings. And it's most important to be always planning for what you can do during their deaths, which was take all their buildings, and then what you're going to do when they're alive, which is be ready to fight at Roche. Even though we don't have Chronosphere and Death Probability, we're still really strong, and we might even be able to take Roche before they're there, which in this case, we do. I fucked up by focus firing the Lincolns like a noob.
Just one Void. I want you hitting the buildings.
So I tell Void to take Aegis so he can hit the buildings. I also think he's been playing a bit overly scared. So I'd rather him be in front of me with Aegis than behind me scared without Aegis.
Grab the cheese.
Stay top together, guys. I'm gonna go.
So here's a really important move that I've seen really high tier players make, which is we have a top tier 2 to take. We want to go high ground because we have Death Prophet Exorcism coming up soon. And there's a big wave bottom for us to worry about like 45 seconds from now. Meaning if nobody on our team goes bottom and pushes, since they have Nature's Prophet and Troll, they could be creating some meaningful split push pressure. So first and foremost, my plan here is to go through the gate, clear the wave, and come straight back. Like that's the high level play, even though it doesn't seem that high level. It's actually really impactful. And what's really important to note is Troll is supposed to kind of know that we just took Roche and we could go through the gate. So he's supposed to know that, right? So I'm not planning on killing Troll. I just want to kill that creep wave bottom.
I'm gonna go through the bottom thing and come back. Just push the tower, guys.
Troll, like a noob, is gonna walk this way, and he's actually gonna die.
Yeah, he's just here for some reason.
Pretty sick chain stun by my Marcy.
Go back top. Go back top.
So the reason why it's so important we just wanted to clear the wave and go back is because of the exact thing that's about to happen, which is the enemy team is now trying to force a fight against our team in the top half. So I'm like, run, run, run. Don't worry about the street play. Just run, run, run.
We're coming back, guys. Kite backwards.
So that kite backwards is really important. Telling your team we'll be there soon. Don't chase. Just let them fight into us.
It's huge. Just chill. We can fight them now that I'm here.
So when you see your team locked in for a kill and you're a hero with catch, it's great to do exactly what I'm doing here, where you run past what's happening and say, I'm chasing more. That is really good communication to have. And it clearly says, hey guys, look, I might find somebody.
Looking for more, guys? Looking for more?
And Troll ends up kind of impatiently dying here. And that is going to be the end of the game. So today's video was a Smurf lobby of me playing Wind Ranger, a hero that I'm honestly not that great at, but I've been working on a lot recently. And I wanted to emphasize the focus of picking a lane counter against Viper that I thought it was. That's why I picked it. So I have a secure start to the lane. Thinking about like the dynamic of the game, which is they have a lot of pick off and a lot of solo split push threat, but by buying that first item Lincoln's, I removed their mid laner. Like, it's not a support I'm removing, it's their mid laner's ability to kill me, which also like makes my game more accelerated and less likely to die, all that kind of stuff. And then these macro moves during the game that highlight my understanding of where people are likely to go, preparing ourselves for what could possibly happen. And there's a lot of like fortuitous happenings in this game. And it's really important to know that there's a reason why I can predict the possibility that these are going to happen. I hope you guys learned something from this. I really enjoyed playing this game and communicating. It's something I'll probably do more in the future, as it makes it feel much more like a normal Dota game with 5 people actually kind of working together, which may not happen too much for you guys, but I don't think there's too many toxic pubs out there, to be honest. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.